Hello and welcome to part 2 of our conversation with leadership expert Yigal Adato. Today we discuss the importance of profits, how to be honest with yourself, and the 3 real reasons business leaders fail. I'm excited, and I hope you are too, for this episode of the Peak Performers Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Let's dive in right into the business. You know, your expertise is leadership. And it's funny because I had someone on the show about 3 weeks ago, Kevin Cruz, New York Times bestseller, and he just come out with a new book about time management. And he was kind of joking. He said, you know, everyone said, why do we need another book about time management? And the answer was, because no one's doing it properly. And that's the same thing about leadership. You know, it's such an important topic. And I want to dive right into, tell me the 3 reasons why leaders fail.
The first reason is that they're not honest with themselves.
Tell me more.
Sure. So I've worked with a lot of business owners that when we get to the core of what's happening, they are lying to themselves. What I mean by that is they're not admitting that their marriages are broken, that they're not happy, that they're not doing well with their time management. And they're living in this bubble surrounded by other entrepreneurs, and they don't want to look bad to them. So they just keep kind of like living this lie, right? And the most important thing about being a leader is being authentic. Now, you don't have to go out there and be authentic with the whole team, but first you have to be authentic with yourself and be clear on what's happening and who you are and who you have to become a better leader.
Point on. I'm telling you, if you're listening to this interview right now and you don't get this point, stop the tape right here, because so many people run around trying to fix the symptom and not the true problem, the root cause. And if you can't tell yourself the truth, and you go around trying to fix it, man, you're going to be coming up with solutions that are not based on the truth, not based on the facts, and don't allow that to happen. It's a waste of time.
You're so right. I think that a lot of times I get called to do leadership consulting and work in culture creation. And within 10 minutes of a conversation with an entrepreneur, I look at them and I say, you do know that you need the work. Because leadership is from top down. If the leader isn't whole and complete, trying to lead is really tough. You know, trying to lead with baggage, I say, is misleading. So you have to work on yourself, on who you are as a person, who you are as a leader, before you can go out there and try to put out a new program to train your employees to be better leaders, because they look up to you.
You know, you got a leader you're working with. You know, he really needs to have a coming to Jesus meeting. He needs to really start to tell the truth about what's going on. Maybe it's, you know, what's going on in the company. Things are not as good as they look, right? Everybody thinks everything's working great. They've got plenty of clients coming in. Revenues are great, but they're not making any profits. And there's a problem. How do you get a leader to kind of fess up and tell the truth without losing face?
Well, that's why kind of the work that we do is confidential, and they feel that since we're outside of the circle, we're outside of the group of entrepreneurs, we're outside of their friends, their family, that they can open up, because it's a secure and a safe environment to speak to. Hopefully when you're working with a coach, a mentor, a consultant, whoever that person is. And for me, it's just asking questions. It's asking questions, you know, are you happy? What's happening? What would you change? What's the truth? And when you ask somebody, what's the truth? They might stumble a couple of times, but then they come back with the truth, because it hits you in the heart. Because a lot of times people ask, hey, Thor, how you doing? And you can say, hey, you know, everything's great. But if they turn around and say, Thor, what's the truth? They've opened up that space for you to tell them the truth without judgment. So that's kind of how it works.
And then once you get to that truth, how do you advise them to be able to convey that to the team? How do they do that and not look like a hypocrite or somebody that was hiding something? Because look, it's human nature, right? Everybody wants, all you got to do is look at Facebook, right? You want to see people portraying their best images, just go to Facebook. You know, how do you advise them to then talk to the team and really get to, you know, talk the truth? For the last 16 years, I've been driven by the question of why some people achieve amazing results and others don't. The answer? 90% of their success came from their psychology. So if 90% of their success comes down to their psychology, what was the one thing that enabled them to produce the results that others were not? Their ability to execute, their ability to get things done. Now, we all know how to get things done, but some of us do it better than others. And some of us are not even coming close to tapping our potential. So if you're truly committed to tapping your potential and really becoming a peak performer and getting the results that you need, want, and desire, take your phone and text the word BE Summit. That stands for Business Execution Summit. One word, BE Summit, and text that to 41411. I'm going to send out some additional information on our upcoming event that will truly teach you the science of execution.
So you brought up Facebook, and I think that when you look at Facebook, some of the things that are shared the most, commented the most, and liked the most are the things that are the most authentic. And people want that authenticity in a leader. They want to know that things aren't going the way that we think they should be, but I'm here to do the work and to turn this thing around. It's worse if the team knows or the employees know the truth and you're not saying the truth.
Yeah. And they usually do.
They can feel it. They're working there, 10, 12 hours a day. They're spending more time with you than they are with their family. They're going to get some of that emotional contagion. They're going to know exactly how you're feeling. They're going to have the pulse of the business. They're going to see, are more customers walking in? Are they not? Are there bad reviews? What's happening? Why are we not getting raises? Why are we cutting costs everywhere? So it's better just sit your team down and say, guys, this is what's going on. And I did an interview on a show called Small Business Big Leaders that one of the guys I interviewed talked about this. He said he's so honest with his team and they appreciate it. He says, what are we selling? What are we doing? What's going on wrong? And all he sees is that they work harder to fix the problem together as opposed to him trying to deal with all the stress by himself.
Yeah, that's why they call it a team.
Exactly.
It's more than one.
Exactly.
All right, so number 2, what's the second reason?
Courage. So once you know what's the truth, I think a lot of times leaders lack courage to do what needs to get done. And courage, it's not the lack of fear, right? We all have fear. Some have fear of falling, fear of heights, fear of snakes, fear of failing, whatever those fears are. But you have to look fear in the face, ask it to step aside for a moment because you have a mission to accomplish. And so if leaders aren't courageous, the actions that they need to take don't happen.
And how does a leader increase or develop his courage?
Take action. You have to take action. You're going to mess it up. It's going to happen. And surround yourself with people who support your action. That's why it's so crucial to be honest with your team, right? If you're alone in taking an action, it's really hard to take that action all the way through. It's like this. I do like some of the Spartan races and the Tough Mudders. I have a team that comes around me. And at the last Spartan race, my IT bands were flaring up. I could barely walk. But my buddy put his arm around me. He's like, Yigal, we're walking the last mile and a half, but we're finishing this thing. And so when you've got a team that you've been clear with and you can ask to work together with to take it to the next level, that's when I believe courage takes its step up.
I also find with a lot of my clients and prospects is there's an addiction with wanting to be liked. To me, I always try to get them to move towards it is better to be respected than liked. And respected is just doing the right thing, having the courage to do what's necessary. Not everyone's going to like you for it, but at the end of the day, you can hold your head high, and those that truly matter are going to respect you.
Thor, if you are a leader, if you own a business, if you have a team, and you're out there to be liked, it's going to be a tough road ahead of you. Because even though you want to be liked, your team wants somebody to respect. Your team wants somebody to follow, not this cool guy who's going to run the business into the ground. They want somebody who they're going to respect. And they have to respect you on all levels, right? They have to respect how you lead your life, how you lead the business, how you lead your health, how are you in the community. And once they look up to you and they respect you, the like is going to happen. But it's going to become a deeper level of respect than just being liked. So it's kind of like a long-term game that you got to play.
Yet also find that when you're out for the game of respect, you start to raise your game to a new standard. The standard of being respected, really you start to own yourself. You start to own your actions. I find, at least in my life, that being liked is not important. I mean, it's nice. Let's face it. Everybody likes to be liked. But I'm out to do the right thing. And sometimes that's not what people want to see and certainly don't want to hear, right? I mean, we're in the truth business. I love what you said about the truth. I mean, I'm in your face. I'm here. You're hiring me to tell you the truth. Quite frankly, many people don't want to hear the truth. So love it. I can't wait till number 3.
So number 3, let's get into it. So number 3 is commitment.
Ooh,
and number 3
love
is so it's not just committing to what you do, but it's also committing to what you say. So many times we promise ourselves, hey, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow at 6 a.m. and we don't wake up or we don't get to it. And what happens is that subconsciously or somewhere in your mind, it tacks it up as, oh, you didn't do it. And then you tell your wife, oh, I'm going to take you out on a date on Thursday night. And then, you're consumed with work and you got to cancel. Again, your mind chalks it up as, oh, you didn't do it again. And so over time, what happens is now you've got this big vision, this big goal that you want to hit. And your mind comes back and says, wait a second, buddy. We've tried this already like 38 times and you've never come through. So in order not to hurt us, in order to keep us away from the pain, I'm just not going to let you start. So committing to your word and committing to your actions are crucial in leadership. So many times a business leader will say, well, I don't have to do it because I'm the boss. Or it's okay. I said I would do that, but I'll get to it next week. You start losing respect.
And you start losing respect for yourself.
100%. And Thor, so many times, if we're going to go to lunch, I can only be late so many times until you call me out, right? The first time you're going to be like, hey, dude, really? You were 20 minutes late. Oh, I know, Thor, I got this thing and I was late. And the second time, or just the third time, you're going to stop calling me. You're going to tell somebody else, you know what, Yigal, he sucks. He never sticks to his word. He doesn't get anything done. And so when something big occurs, if I come up to you and say, Thor, I've got this great project happening, you're going to look back into the history and say, wait a second, Yigal never shows up on time, never comes through. It's kind of shady in that aspect. So I'm not going to invest. I'm not going to talk to him about it. And you lose opportunities like that.
Yeah. For example, this interview, I knew I might be about a minute or 2 late. So 7 minutes before this interview started, I sent you a text saying, I'll be ready in about 8 minutes. Now, I didn't say 10 minutes. I didn't say 5 minutes. I said 8. Now, what was your impression when you got that message?
It was great. I was like, perfect. I'll be ready in 8 minutes. It was like 8 to, the time that we had committed to. And to be honest with you, even if you were 9 or 10 minutes late, you sent me a message.
Yeah.
As opposed to calling me 5 minutes afterwards saying, hey, man, I'm so sorry. I had this other thing and this thing came up. You let me know beforehand, which was great.
Yeah. And this, I thought I was going to be about a minute late. Now, you're either early or you're late. There is no on time.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to shoot for early, and I was like, I'm not quite sure, so I'll send it out.
When we were in the pawn shop business, so many meetings we would have to teach people that if your start time is at 8:30 in the morning, you don't come to work at 8:30, go upstairs, put your purse down, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, get your coffee, and start at 8:50. Your start time is 8:30. You come in, coffee has been drank, or however you say it. Your meal has been done. Your bathroom necessities have been over with, and you get to work. And it's the same with being a boss, being an entrepreneur. If you say that you're going to have a meeting with an employee, this is the one thing I see all the time, Thor, is when a business owner tells an employee that they're going to sit and talk with them for a raise, and they don't do it. That's one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. You cannot let your employees down when it comes to their livelihood, when it comes to the money that they're going to bring home to pay for their bills. You have a responsibility, right? It's why sometimes I get confused with the word entrepreneur and business owner. For me, a business owner has a responsibility of employees and their families. When I had 45 employees, if you look at, let's go 50 to make the math easy. let's say an average of 3 family members per employee, that's 150 people who are on the line with my decisions, my courage, and my integrity. And if I let them down, I'm letting all of them down. So there's a responsibility in owning a business that you can't take lightly.
Yeah, huge. And most employees don't understand that. As a matter of fact, we have a course coming out in about a month that one of the modules is how to think and act like a boss. And what is the boss thinking? You have no idea what it's like. I had to close a business where I had 15 employees, and it was heart-wrenching. I mean, I knew every single employee that it was going to be affecting and their families.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the toughest decisions I ever had to make in business, in my life, quite frankly.
And as a business owner, you don't go home and just kind of detach from the business. So many times you're up at night, you're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to make more profit, more customers. I have to get the IT guy out there. So it's a consistent thought process it's very hard to just disconnect as a business owner. And sometimes it's the funniest things when people would walk into my store and say, oh, I should do this business. I was like, really? If you knew how much stress was in retail, because that's what I was in, retail and service, you might rethink that. You said it before, I have to have an intervention, and I think you're right. So,
yeah, and we just got to keep doing the right thing. Even to this day, I still get birthday texts and emails, holiday cards from my ex-employees on the business I had to close saying, happy holidays.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you were honest with them, right?
Absolutely. They knew what was going on way before it was happening. I didn't surprise, just one day just go in and say, guess what? This is not going to work.
It happens. So my wife is an esthetician. She worked at a spa. She was getting ready that morning. She put on her spa outfit that they put on, went to work, called me 15 minutes later and said, Yigal, everything is out of the location. It's closed, it's locked up, and they're closed. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. How irresponsible of somebody to not just say, hey guys, by the way, in 2 weeks, we're shutting down.
Yep.
Here's some time to go find another job.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. And what I did is I actually gave them more money to stay on to the end. We said, look, we got to keep this thing going for the next 45 days. Many of you are going to, all of you are going to have to find other employment. You're going to have time off to go look for that. But those that are willing to stick it out to the end, I'm going to have some additional bonuses for you.
Wow. You're a good man, Thor.
It's just the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. There's families to be taken care of here. And look, I'm all about the profit. You go to my website, it says, page number 1, profit, the only thing that matters in business. And what I mean by that is, look, if you can't figure out how to make a profit, this is, don't get me on my soapbox here, but it drives me nuts the amount of people and businesses and business owners that can't figure out how to make a profit. And they keep going about it, trying to figure out how to dump more sales in the top. And it's leaking out. So yeah, once you got the profits, then you can do things. Businesses go out of business. Why? They run out of cash because they didn't have enough profits.
Yeah, agreed.
Some people misunderstand that front page and go, well, that's all he's about is the profits,
As a business owner, your stress is coming from profitability. So there's nothing wrong with it. I just believe, and I think you agree as well, as we're looking at the profit, we have to make sure that the people who are helping us make the profit are taken care of.
Absolutely. Well. And if you're taking care of them, what are you doing? You're driving more profits.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin. Click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.
That brings us to the end of another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. Be on the lookout for part 3 with Yigal Adato when he tells us the 3 questions that help determine your own work-life balance and improving your ability to make and keep commitments. I hope you'll commit to be with us on the next Peak Performers Podcast. We'll see you at the top.